Have you ever wondered what truly matters as we age? What happens when you reach those later years of life? When I moved into a nursing home at 62, I thought I had a pretty good idea of what to expect. But after a year of living here, I've learned that aging is full of surprises. Some uplifting, some challenging, and some that completely reshape the way I see life. In this video, I'm going to share 7 lessons I've learned after a year in a nursing home. These insights will help you, or someone you care about, navigate aging with wisdom and grace. Some of these lessons may confirm what you already suspect, while others might challenge how you think about getting older. Either way, by the end of this video, you'll have a deeper understanding of what it really means to age well. And trust me, the final lesson had the biggest impact on me, and it could change the way you approach your own journey through aging. So stick with me until the end. But before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so now and hit the bell notification so you don't miss our upcoming videos about aging, wisdom, and living well. Let's get started. Lesson 1. Loneliness is a choice, not a sentence. When I first moved into the nursing home, I expected to feel lonely. I had lost my spouse years ago, my kids were busy, and many of my friends had either passed away or moved far away. I assumed loneliness was just part of aging, something I would have to accept. But after a year here, I realized something that completely changed my perspective. Loneliness is not a condition, it's a choice. I've seen 2 kinds of people here. There are those who stay in their rooms waiting for visitors, convinced that no one cares about them. Then there are those who smile at others, strike up conversations, and make an effort to be part of something. One woman I met, Margaret, had no family nearby, no visitors, and yet she was one of the happiest people I'd ever met. I asked her how she stayed so positive, and she simply laughed and said, "I knock on doors. I sit at full tables. I never wait for happiness to find me. I go looking for it." That stuck with me. I decided to try it for myself. Instead of staying in my room, I started greeting people in the hallways. I joined a card game, even though I hadn't played in years. I asked others about their lives, and something incredible happened. My world got bigger. The more I reached out, the more people responded. I wasn't just passing time. I was building connections. Loneliness is not about being alone. It's about choosing to stay disconnected. So if you ever find yourself feeling lonely, ask yourself, am I waiting for someone to come to me? Or am I taking the first step? Lesson 2. Independence fades faster if you let it. When I first arrived, I noticed a pattern. Some residents stopped trying to do things for themselves, and over time they became weaker and more dependent on others. Richard, a man I met, had always been self-sufficient but began asking for help with even the smallest tasks. At first, it seemed harmless, but over time, he lost his strength and confidence. I realized something important. When you stop using your abilities, you start losing them. Maintaining independence is an active choice. It's easier to have someone else pour you a cup of coffee, but every time you choose the easier route, you give up a little bit of your strength, mobility, and sense of self. I made a rule for myself. If I can do it, I will do it, even if it takes me longer. I take the stairs when I can, dress myself every morning, and move even when I don't feel like it. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about holding on to what I have for as long as I can. Aging doesn't take away your independence overnight. It happens in small, seemingly unimportant moments, but those moments add up. Lesson 3. Health declines when routine disappears. At first, I thought people's health was the only factor that determined how well they aged, but I soon learned something surprising. Routine matters more than anything. I met George, a retired teacher in his late 80s. Every day, he woke up at the same time, shaved, dressed neatly, and went for a walk before breakfast. His routine kept him sharp, alert, and full of life. But then I saw others who had no routine at all. They woke up when they felt like it, skipped meals, stayed in their rooms. Their mental and physical health declined quickly, and it was clear that without structure, everything started to fall apart. I learned that the body and mind need routine. It's not just about staying busy, it's about staying engaged with life. Now I make sure every day has a plan. I get up, shower, and get dressed at the same time each morning. I set times for meals, reading, and movement. This simple structure has made a huge difference in my energy levels and mental clarity. Lesson 4. Your attitude shapes your experience. I used to think the happiest people in the nursing home were those who were healthiest. But I quickly realized that some of the happiest residents were the ones facing the most challenges, people with limited mobility or memory issues. Attitude makes all the difference. I met Eleanor, an 86-year-old woman with severe arthritis. She could have spent her days complaining about the pain, but instead she greeted everyone with a smile, shared kind words, and focused on the good things in her life. She taught me that happiness is not about what happens to you. It's about how you decide to see things. If you focus on what's gone, you'll miss what's still here. Aging is inevitable, but how we choose to see it makes all the difference. Lesson 5. Family visits are unpredictable, but friendships sustain you. When I first moved here, I thought family visits would be the highlight of my days. But over time, visits became less frequent, and I found myself waiting and hoping for those calls or visit. That's when I realized friendships, not family visits, are what really sustain you. Albert, a man I met, had a son who lived far away and only visited once every few months. But Albert never seemed sad or lonely. He had a small group of friends who shared coffee with him in the mornings and played cards in the afternoons. I learned that while family is important, the people you connect with every day are the ones who make the biggest difference in your happiness. So I focused on building friendships here in the nursing home, and the more I did, the less lonely I felt. Lesson 6. The past becomes more vivid, but the present still matters. As we age, the past can feel more vivid and real than the present. I find myself remembering my childhood, the smell of my mother's kitchen, or my best friend's laugh with clarity. But ask me what I had for lunch yesterday, and I might have to think for a moment. I met Frank, who was 89 and could tell stories about his youth in stunning detail. But he never seemed to engage in the present. He had decided his life was already over. Then I met Helen, 84, who also reminisced about her past but always stayed curious and embraced the present. She once said, "I have more yesterdays than tomorrows, but that doesn't mean today doesn't count." The truth is, nostalgia is a gift. It reminds us of where we came from. But it should never come at the cost of the present. Life is still happening, and if we spend too much time looking back, we risk missing the moments right in front of us. Lesson 7. Small pleasures make a big difference. As we age, our world can shrink, but small pleasures become incredibly meaningful. I've seen people find joy in little things. A cup of coffee, a favorite candy, or the feeling of sunlight streaming through a window. I learned to savor these small moments. The first sip of tea, the birds outside my window, the laughter of friends in the hallway. These little things may seem insignificant, but they bring happiness in ways bigger events never can. When you focus on the small joys, life becomes brighter. After a year in a nursing home, I've learned that aging isn't just about growing older. It's about how we choose to experience those years. Independence fades if you let it, but staying active and engaged can help you hold on to more than you think. Loneliness is a choice, and the more we reach out, the more connected we feel. Routine keeps us strong, and attitude shapes our experience. Family visits may be unpredictable, but friendships sustain us. The past is important, but the present still matters. And in the end, it's the small pleasures, the simple things that make life worth living. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's this. Life doesn't end when things change. There's always room for connection, growth, and happiness if we're willing to. Embrace it. Let me know in the comments. What's one thing you've learned today, and how do you plan to apply it in your life? Your thoughts matter, and I love reading them. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating content that inspires and informs. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.